the next episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation, is called The Measure of a Man. Now, just when you think season 2 was all going to be an endless series of duds, you find like one of the best episodes in the entire Star Trek universe, just shoved into a season that had like zero potential up until this very moment. So Picard is on a space station and he's visiting his friend who works there. And his friend is this woman who they clearly have had a relationship beforehand, but also he doesn't really like her that much because she court-martialed him because of what happened with the Stargazer. And so there's like a little bit of a flirty but antagonistic at the same time relationship with this woman whose name is Philippa. And while it looks like they're about to have like some kind of a romantic plot, but that just gets killed immediately when Bruce Maddox shows up. And Bruce Maddox is like, hey, can I come aboard your ship and see things on your ship? And he's like, sure, I guess. And it turns out the only reason he wants to come on board the ship is to see Data. And Data, like, gives him, like, the stink eye as soon as he gets on board the ship. And we're like, what the heck, man? Data doesn't usually give people the stink eye. Usually he's all like, yay, humanity's wonderful. You know, he doesn't even give Dr. Pulaski the stink eye, and she is rude to him at every opportunity. So, Maddox explains that they knew each other from Starfleet Academy, and he actually, tried to deny him Data entry into the Starfleet Academy because he thinks he's not sentient. And you know, it's a sore spot for Data. So, but Maddox is like, he's not mad at Data. He loves Data as a machine. He thinks Data's the coolest machine. He thinks he's so cool. He wants to take Data and bring him to his lab back in the Daystrom Institute, I think. And he's gonna do experiments on Data, and he's gonna build an army of androids for everyone to do dangerous things, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. And Data's like, I don't want to go with you though. And Commander Maddox says, too bad, so sad. I have orders from Starfleet, and I can take you and order you wherever I want to go. And Data's like, okay, well then I'm going to not be in Starfleet anymore. So Data starts packing up his stuff, and he's got like a little plastic duffel bag, and he puts in like some books and a little hologram of Tasha Yar and like some framed medals and I think a deck of cards. And this guy is like the worst at packing. I mean, for an android, maybe some clothes, I don't know. But he packs those things, and while he's doing this, Bruce Maddox just walks into his quarters like he just doesn't even ask to come in. And Data's like, it's rude to come in someone's quarters without like buzzing or whatever. And Maddox is like, dude, don't be stupid, okay? You should come with me, and I'm so mad at you right now because you're actually like a toaster and you're pretending to have free will and you don't. And just please, can you come with me? And he's like, no. Go away now. And then they have a party because Data's leaving and they are having a going away party. And Geordi is sad because his only friend in the world is leaving. Boo-hoo. And everyone else is kind of happy to be celebrating with presents. And he gets some presents. He gets a book. And I don't remember what else. And then Captain Picard and Philippa and Bruce Maddox are all, I think, at the station again, and they're chatting about how Data's leaving Starfleet, and Maddox says he shouldn't be allowed to, and Philippa says she's going to look into it, and Maddox has a hissy fit because he thinks he has more of a right to steal Data and do experiments on him than Data should have to like leave leave Starfleet. So Philippa does look into it, and she finds out that yes, actually Data is the property of Starfleet, even though he was found on a planet that wasn't a Starfleet planet and then went to the Academy like everyone else. For some reason, he's the property of Starfleet. And so Picard's like, no, let's have a hearing. And she's like, I can't have a hearing. I don't even have any lawyers. And Picard's like, I'll be a lawyer. And Philip is like, fine. And I guess Riker will have to be the opposing counsel. And Riker's like, but I don't actually believe that Data is a robot or a box on wheels, so maybe you should get someone else. Because it's like, I'd be a bad opposing counsel. And she's like, fine then. I'm going to like ship him off to Maddox and take him into pieces, and he's property of Starfleet now. And Riker's like, fine, I'll do it, okay? So they have this little court thing. And first, Picard is like, man, Data is a machine. This is going to be harder than I thought. And he's like talking to, but first, Riker's testimony is first, right? So Riker's like doing research, and he's going on the computer, and he searches Google and finds out that Data has an off switch, and he's clearly a machine, which is something we all already knew. And he's like, I'm gonna win. And then he's like, oh, I actually don't want to win. Boo. And then he does this thing where he puts Data on the stand, and he asks him like what he is, who created you, blah 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 blah. And then he asks Data to bend a steel rod, and Data does like boop, because he's so strong he can bend metal. So Riker's like, does this guy look sentient? Sentient people can't bend metal. And then he's like, he takes off Data's arm, and he's like, hey, look, it's a machine. You can't remove the arms of sentient people. Booyah! Riker wins. You lose. Catch you later. And Picard's like, wow, that was a devastating testimony. I gotta have a recess. I did not prepare anything to compete with that. So then he goes to 10 forward and has a drink and talks to Guinan. And Guinan is like, this is a lot like slavery if you like think about it. And Picard's like, I never thought about that. Yeah, if we build a bunch of androids and make them our slaves, that would be slavery. Huh. Thanks, Guinan. I know what to say in court now. So he goes back to court, and he asks Data some questions about what he's packed in his little duffel bag. And he's like, I have a picture of Tasha Yar. How come you have a picture of Tasha Yar when you can remember everything in exquisite detail, and you don't have any photos of anyone else? I'm kind of offended, actually, because you didn't bring a photo of me. And he's like, well, I never had sex with you, and I had sex with Yar. Don't tell anyone, though, because I promised I wouldn't. He's like, don't worry, your secret's safe with me, and on record. And then he's like, why did you pack your medals? And he's like, oh, because I just wanted them. Does that mean I'm vain? And Picard's like, yep, that makes you more human, yay! And then he's like, oh, why did you bring this book? And he's like, because I didn't have a photo of you and I wanted something to remember you by. Picard's like, oh, that's so sweet to hear. And Philippa is sitting at her like little judge desk, and she's like, what? This guy's not a box on wheels at all. But in her head, because she's not making a ruling yet. And he talks to Dr. Maddox and is like, Dr. Maddox, what is the definition of a sentient being? And he's like, it has to be conscious, and he has to be self-aware, and I forget the third thing. And then he goes, and Picard says to Data, hey Data, what are you doing right now? And he's like, well, I am taking part in a trial to determine if my rights. And Picard says, that sounds pretty self-aware to me. And Dr. Bruce, he's not a doctor. He doesn't even have a doctorate, this guy. Commander Maddox is like, oh my gosh. That guy is self-aware. What have I been doing with my life? But he doesn't actually say that. He's just thinking that in his head. And finally, after a very awesome Picard speech about how we're just machines too, just like electrochemical, and if we don't treat Data nicely, we might end up with like an entire slave race of androids that might destroy Mars or something. And Philip is like, you've got a point there. So I am thinking that this has got to be profound, and I have to make a speech that's better than Picard's speech, which I can't. So she talks about having a soul, and she doesn't know if she has one, but Data should have the opportunity to decide if he has a soul. So she's like, he's a machine, but he's not the property of Starfleet. He can resign if he wants to. And then Maddox kind of sheepishly walks over to Data and was like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry I was such a dick to you our entire lives, and now I do believe you're a person. So I'm not going to make you transfer away. Can you please write to me, though? And Data's like, sure. We're buds now. And then I think that's it. Data gets to stay on board the Enterprise. And that is the end of A Measure of a Man. Bye!